I asked him, is it a conspiracy theory or not then?
I find it interesting that the New York Times calls it a conspiracy theory because, as you very well said, the World Economic Forum, Prince Charles, Joe Biden, so many economists are talking about this concept of the Great Reset. What the Great Reset means is basically an idea that is talking about promoting a global effort from the side of governments in order to take the opportunity of the pandemic crisis in order to implement measures that are going to incentivize and push the environmental sustainability and equality policies that have that they basically think should be implemented. And I think that it's very evident in the World Economic Forum website, but it's also very evident in some of the messages of, for example, members of the Democratic Party, members of the Labour Party, and mainstream neo-Keynesian economists. The idea that there needs to be some form of, first, massive debt relief, so that governments that have spent a lot of money throughout the crisis would find the debt burden smaller. But we need to understand what that means. If you have a massive debt relief, there is also a massive erosion of the savings of citizens. So things usually with the message of well-intentioned ideas, better sustainability, higher respect for the environment, more technology, stronger equality. All of those elements obviously are positive, and we all are in favor of them. What I find almost interesting, if not intriguing, is the idea, why would any of those things be implemented better because of higher government control? Because if there's anything that we should have learned from this crisis is that high interventionism and massive government control have created a huge economic problem in countries that have not managed the pandemic and preserve the business and economic fabric at the same time. So the idea that governments need to direct the economy is misguided, because all of those trends that they were talking about and that they talk about in the World Economic Forum, which are obviously things that we all agree with, all of those happen thanks to what? Thanks to competition, thanks to free markets, and thanks to private enterprise and innovation. So there's absolutely no need for governments to intervene and to decide at a multilateral level or in huge events and summits where the world needs to go. All of those things are happening. Governments that have to do only one thing, which is not to put brakes on innovation and progress.
Because if you look at the World Economic Forum website, a theme that does come up a lot is inequality, solving this problem of inequality. But as you rightly pointed out, if you look at the interventionism we saw during the pandemic this year, this overwhelmingly benefited the richest people. Am I not correct in saying that?
You're absolutely correct. If there's one thing that we should have learned by now is that massive central bank intervention has created an enormous level of inequality, because the increase in money supply benefits mostly those that have access to capital and access to debt, while the negative side effects of monetary policy affect real wages and savings of the least well off. So we need to understand that massive intervention is one of the reasons why there is this problem of inequality. And if we want to improve the situation and reach higher equality, we have to remember that the biggest source of inequality is unemployment. And therefore, what governments need to do is to facilitate the creation of jobs and the creation of enterprises and businesses, not to decide where people have to invest or where people have to save, and let alone to think that a problem of inequality and high debt is going to be solved by erasing the debt of those that have benefited from the crisis, and at the same time, on the other side of that coin, erasing the savings of the ones that have endured the negative consequences. So, again, what the World Economic Forum, with Prince Charles, what they're all mentioning, all of these objectives are fine. We all agree with them, but the means are wrong. It is wrong to believe that governments need to direct the economy in that path, because if that path is sustainable, profitable, creates more employment, and creates better welfare for everybody, it will be thriving with the private sector without any need for government intervention. If government needs to impose it, and multilateral summits need to impose it, it's because it is not going to be working. And this is something that we all need to understand. One thing is to facilitate with a simple and easy regulation, and a completely different thing is to change the parameters in which innovation, job creation, and welfare and wages, real wages, improve, which is business creation, which is private sector innovation and imprudent investment in economic return creating businesses. If we subvert that equation in order to make governments force companies to behave as if they were administrations, spending on things that don't generate economic return and wasting money on things that are politically driven, what we end up seeing is what we have seen, for example, in the European Union, that you have stagnation and lower employment.